Chicago, 1929. A city ruled by fear. The streets were soaked in money, liquor, corruption, and blood. It was the age of gangsters. Men in sharp suits carried machine guns. Police badges could be bought. Loyalty was temporary. Betrayal was permanent. And on the morning of February 14th, one of the most brutal murders in American history would unfold. 7 men lined up against a cold brick wall. No warning, no mercy. Then the sound of gunfire ripped through the air. This is the story of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. If you love powerful true crime stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to World Stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive. To understand the massacre, you have to understand Chicago in the 1920s. It was the city of crimes. America had banned alcohol under Prohibition, but banning liquor didn't stop people from drinking. It only made criminals rich. Illegal bars, secret clubs, underground deliveries, all controlled by gangs. And 2 men stood at the top of this violent world. On the south side was Al Capone, smart, ruthless, and rich beyond imagination. On the north side was George Bugs Moran, Capone's bitter rival. These 2 men hated each other. Their gangs fought over territory, alcohol routes, gambling profits, and revenge. Cars exploded. Men disappeared. Streets became battlefields. Chicago was no longer run by law. It was run by gangsters. Al Capone wasn't just a criminal. He was a celebrity. The king of Chicago. He wore expensive suits, smoked cigars, gave money to charities, smiled for cameras. But behind that polished image was a violent empire. Capone controlled bootlegging operations worth millions. Anyone who threatened his business could be bribed or buried. Yet one problem refused to go away. Bugs Moran. Moran kept attacking Capone's shipments and killing his men. Capone reportedly said Moran was the only enemy who truly bothered him, and so a deadly plan began to form. By early 1929, Capone was spending time in Florida, far from Chicago. Conveniently far. Meanwhile, Moran's gang received word of a cheap shipment of stolen whiskey. The deal was attractive, too attractive. The pickup point would be a garage at 2122 North Clark Street. A simple business meeting. But it was no business meeting. It was an ambush. February 14th, 1929. Valentine's Day morning. The air was freezing. Streets were quiet. Inside the garage, several members of Moran's gang waited. Among them were hitmen, enforcers, mechanics, and associates. They believed they were meeting suppliers. Then a police car pulled up outside. 2 men dressed as police officers entered with shotguns and machine guns. The men inside likely thought it was a raid. They obeyed orders. They faced the wall, hands up. Seconds later, gunfire exploded through the room. More than 70 bullets tore into the victims. The killers fired until there was almost nothing left to move. Then, in a chilling twist, 2 more men dressed as civilians walked out with the police officers, pretending to be arrested prisoners. Witnesses saw what looked like a normal police arrest. No one suspected mass murder had just happened. If this story has already shocked you, take 1 second right now to like the video and subscribe to World Stories. It helps the channel grow and brings you more incredible real stories from history. Now let's continue. When police entered the garage, the scene was horrifying. 7 men lay dead or dying. Among them, Peter Gusenberg, Frank Gusenberg, Adam Heyer, Albert Weinshank, Reinhard Schwimmer, John May, James Clark. One victim, Frank Gusenberg, was still alive.
Police asked who shot him.
Nobody shot me.
Even while dying, the gangster code of silence remained. He died hours later. The most shocking detail of all. Bugs Moran, the main target, was not there. He had been approaching the garage when he saw what looked like police officers entering the building. Thinking it was a raid, Moran turned and walked away. He escaped death by minutes. Some believe another victim, Albert Weinshank, resembled Moran and was mistaken for him. The killers may have thought they had succeeded, but their enemy lived. News of the massacre spread instantly. Photographs of the bloody garage stunned the nation. Even in the violent age of gangsters, this was different. This was organized execution. Cold-blooded slaughter in broad daylight. The public was outraged. Politicians demanded action. Law enforcement, often powerless or corrupt, could no longer ignore Capone's empire. The massacre changed everything. No one was ever convicted for the murders, but almost everyone believed the attack had Capone's fingerprints all over it. He had motive, he had resources, he had killers capable of carrying it out, and most importantly,
he had an alibi. Capone was in Florida during the massacre, smiling for cameras and denying involvement. He told reporters he knew nothing about it.
But the timing was too perfect. Many historians believe Capone ordered the hit while keeping himself safely far away. Ironically, the massacre may have been Capone's greatest mistake. Though he eliminated key rivals, he also brought massive pressure onto himself. Federal authorities began hunting for ways to destroy him. Not for murder, not for bootlegging, but for taxes. In 1931, Al Capone was convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to prison. The King of Chicago fell, not by bullets, but by paperwork. Bugs Moran survived the massacre, but his power never fully recovered. His gang weakened, his influence faded. He drifted into smaller crimes and eventually died in prison in 1957. The massacre that was meant to destroy him instead slowly destroyed everyone involved. Even nearly a century later, mysteries remain. Who exactly pulled the triggers? Was Capone the mastermind? Did police officers help cover it up? Was Moran truly the target? Or was it broader revenge? Some names have been suggested over the years, including Capone hitman Fred Burke and others, but the full truth may never be known, and that uncertainty only adds to the legend. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre became one of the most infamous crimes in American history. It inspired movies, books, documentaries, and endless debate. It symbolized the dark side of the Roaring Twenties, luxury on the surface, violence underneath. It also proved something timeless. When greed and power rule unchecked, blood usually follows. 7 men entered that garage expecting a business deal. Instead, they walked into history. The shots fired on February 14, 1929, echoed far beyond Chicago. They marked the peak of gangster violence and the beginning of the end for America's most notorious mobsters. Some crimes fade with time. This one never did. If you enjoyed this true crime story, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below what historical mystery you want us to cover next on World Stories. And remember, history is often darker than fiction.